I think your mic is muted. Something's going on.
How about now? Can everyone hear me?
There's definitely an issue.
Should I have this desktop mic on?
No, that desktop mic is on. It's,
Is mine working?
yeah. It's actually
You want me to put mine to Scott?
no, it's definitely some. Okay, hit mute. Actually, hit your mic again. Close. Up. Okay, hit mute there. Okay, so that mic. Okay, so wait.
Sorry, we're working through some technical difficulties.
They hear me if I tell them? I like that.
Because the mic's not even on when it's making that much noise. Okay, that's right. Okay, see if they can hear you.
Can everyone hear me? Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
They're hearing that too.
I can hear you.
It's muted, it's still doing that.
Sorry, can you hear the feedback going on? We're getting some real
I
severe
can hear you.
feedback.
I have a lot of reverberation.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're trying to get that corrected before we get started.
It's this thing.
How about that mic underneath that TV?
No, it's this thing right here. Which is,
I guess that'd be officially on.
the old pulled plug. Okay,
Sounds good. Can everyone still hear us now?
oh wow, all right, awesome.
Nice.
Okay, all right, let's get back on the air. It's hearing on Zoom, no one on TV or YouTube can hear you yet.
I think we're getting close here, folks.
All right, let's go for real.
Ready?
Started.
Can everybody hear me okay?
No,
Is my mic working? Okay, I'd like, with the technical difficulties behind us, I'd like to call the meeting to order. So we'll start with a roll call. This is Richard Haig, Chair, I'm here. Dan Bourne. I can see you talking, Dan, but I don't hear your voice. Yep, we're not hearing Dan. Is he muted?
Yeah, no, I don't hear you either.
Yep. We may be still having a few technical difficulties.
I can hear you, it's the other direction. Okay, let's try. I love being on Zoom.
Hmm.
Okay, hello.
Can you guys,
I can hear. Can you hear me?
okay, I can hear you now, Dan. Okay.
I've still got a lot of reverb.
Yep. Is that coming across one of our mics?
It can't be, no, you guys are muted. It's just something definitely is wrong.
Is it?
Scott, every time you talk, it starts.
Okay. Yeah. That's that, yes, true.
What did she say?
Oh, it says one of the 66 is causing echo, but we're muted. Okay. This is like. Well, I think we're gonna have to get little kids.
Oh,
We're gonna have.
are we good?
Well, no, it sounds bad. That is a huge.
No, it's still reverb.
Yeah, it even gets,
I say we can hear it with that muted too.
okay, how's that? Yeah, I think I got it.
Okay. You want to unmute and try it again?
Yes.
All right, can everybody hear me now? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Reverberation is gone? Okay. We'll continue with roll call. So Dan Bourne, you're here.
Present.
Chris Coleman?
I'm here.
Clancy?
I'm here.
David?
Present.
Jim? There, James? He's not here?
He was on the call. Make sure I got everyone admitted. Oh, here we go. My fault.
No problem. Okay, Jim? Can you hear
Yes,
us?
I'm back.
Okay. And Tiffany?
Yes, present.
So we got everybody accounted for. So the first thing on the agenda is to approve the meetings from August 4th.
Can I go over that?
Oh, hang on just a second. We're at the official announcements.
Yeah, my name is Scott Wagner, Airport Manager. Let me just go over the Open Meetings Act procedures for tonight's meeting. Commissioners, you must state your name and title each time you speak. All motions need to be stated clearly. After a motion is made and seconded, the chair will call on the commissioners individually to provide their vote. Chair, you will need to announce whether the motion carried and the count of the vote. Various members of city staff are present via Zoom and in the commission room tonight, and they must also state their name and title each time they speak. Members of the public are allowed to speak on certain agenda items, and those items are noted on the meeting agenda. Individuals who signed up in advance to provide public comment remotely will be called up upon by name. When you are called on, please unmute your listening device and state your name before speaking, and the regular 3-minute time limit will apply. The chair will then call on in-person public comment for those without access to technology options. And then staff will direct people to the podium to speak, and the regular 3-minute time limit will also apply. I want to remind everyone to please mute yourself when you are not speaking, and let's get started. Thank you.
All right. This is Richard Haig, and the first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from our August 4th board meeting. Are there any changes to the minutes that anyone has noticed or would like to be amended? If there are no changes, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes as they are written.
Clancy
So
Maloney,
Tiffany Hall, board member, I move to approve.
Okay.
Clancy Maloney, board member, I second.
Okay, motion from Tiffany Hall, seconded by Clancy Maloney. And we'll go through a roll call vote. Richard Haig, chair. Aye. Dan Bourne.
Aye.
Chris.
Aye.
Clancy.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
And Tiffany.
Board member, I move to approve.
Nancy Maloney, board member, I second.
Okay, motion from Tiffany Hall, seconded by Clancy Maloney. We'll go through a roll call vote. Richard Haig, chair. Aye. Dan Bourne.
That's pretty weird.
Aye.
I think we may have to
Chris?
jump and start over.
Aye.
This happened twice, and this is,
Clancy?
you don't want to make a perpetual loop. I don't know how to stop this.
So
I hear it too.
what do we do to start?
Just restart the meeting. Scott, we can have everybody log off, log back on. It's not perfect, but unless the echo's gonna stop, we can try and talk again, but it's the people on the line that are gonna be delayed.
Okay.
So see if you can interact and see what happens again.
Okay, I don't know if you guys heard it on your end, but everything we just said was repeated back to us like an echo. And so we're going to continue with the meeting and see if it happens again. If it does happen again, we're going to have to log everybody off and start the meeting all over again. And so hopefully it won't do it again and we can continue with our normal process. Okay, at this time, we're open for public comment. If there's anyone that would like to speak to the board on anything from the public. Okay. Richard Haig, and with no public comment, we'll move on, and I'm glad to report that we didn't get any echo that time, so we'll move forward. And the next item is to receive staff report on the Kansas Department of Transportation Air Tour Fly-In event, and then the manager's report after that. So we'll turn the floor over to Scott.
Yeah, this is Scott Wagner, Airport Manager. I'm going to really turn it over to Rick Bryan, who spearheaded this effort. But before we do that, staff created a little video from that event that we're going to try to share with you, and we'll see if this works. No sound. Not getting any sound, Kurt.
I'm not seeing anything on your share either. So you haven't,
It's not online yet.
okay, now I can see it, blow it up, and, let's see.
Let's just play the clip and
Can you guys see this at all?
Yeah, you can see it. Maybe you should do some exciting narration.
if the audio isn't coming through, I'll send out the YouTube link to the board. It's also been posted on our agenda tonight. But we had some staff from our communications team out at that event. They captured a lot of great images from it and also some really nice video. And there is some music that goes along with the YouTube. So it's been posted out on the city's YouTube channel. We'll be able to use this video to promote the airport going forward, and we'll post it on the airport's website. And I think it's just a nice way to showcase what happened at the fly-in event. It's only about 3 minutes long, so after it wraps up, I'll turn it over to Rick Bryant for he'll go through his written report tonight. But enjoy the pictures. Well, that video brought a smile to my face. I hope it did yours too. I've got to thank all the board members and other participants on the Zoom tonight who were there for that fly-in event. I thought it was a great success, and it was just a lot of fun. It was a great evening. The weather turned out super. I know we have Chad Decker on the Zoom tonight. His company in Hangar hosted the pilots dinner that evening, and it was just a lot of fun. And it wouldn't have happened without the board and all your hard work that night. And I just want to thank you for all your hard work and support of our fly-in event that evening. And I'm going to turn it over to Rick Bryant for a more formal recap of that event.
Good evening, everyone. This is Rick Bryant, Airport Guide. In your packet for tonight is a written recap to the advisory board and Scott Wagner on the events of the air tour. I'm not going to go back through this report verbatim. I'm going to hit a couple of the highlights, but the most important takeaways from our adventure that day was we satisfied all 5 of the KDOT objectives for the air tour in each stop. They left on Friday morning indicating a great desire to want to come back and do this next year. They historically have tried to target selected areas of the state to try to spread things around, so it'll be interesting to see if we do get asked to host. And they want to do it on the last day, which is Saturday at noon to wrap up. So gives us lots more opportunities to get into trouble with crowds and other things, entertainment, food. So could have more, may have to do a whole pig this time for barbecue instead of just piecemeal it. So Chad, get ready. Have to build a pit out there by your hangar. So I'm just gonna let it die at this moment. If there's any general comments, welcome to talk about them, or you can address them to Scott, and they will get to me, and then we'll work on them for next year if we have the opportunity. Thank you very much.
All right, this is Richard Haig, the chair, and we'll do the manager's report next, Scott.
Yeah, sure. This is Scott Wagner, airport manager. I also forgot to thank Rick Bryant, who spearheaded the coordination of the event, the KDOT fly-in event, and he kind of led the way with just all the minute details that had to go into that night's production. We had some great giveaway items to the pilots that evening. We had lots of volunteers, and it wouldn't have happened without Rick either. We're a staff of 2 here with the city. Yeah, thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
For the airport manager's report, I'll just kind of go through the items that was posted with the agenda tonight, and stop it, or feel free to interrupt me at any time if you got questions, because there are a lot more details I could fill in with this report, but I tried to just kind of highlight some of the key things that's been going on. So we'll go from the top of the list. Back in August, Dan Bourne and I, a board member, attended the 4 States Conference, and that was held in the downtown Kansas City. It was just a great conference for me, again, as a new airport manager, to hear from FAA staff who, again, weren't there in person, but they were able to participate via Zoom and had some really great presentations. There was also an exhibitors hall where I got to interact with various vendors that serve airports and meet some of those folks as well. I just highlighted a couple of the presentations I got a lot out of. There was an FAA presentation on their new airport external portal, and they kind of just walked us through how to use that, and that's really something that I'll use as airport manager to interact with the FAA. That's where we'll find a lot of our CIP information, our grant projects that are out there, And, it's something that FAA Central staff is really rolling out as a tool for airports to use. I also had some really good presentations on wildlife management. For those of you that are tenants at our airport, even though we've got this great wildlife fence, sometimes it turns into a wildlife containment fence, as Lloyd can probably attest to. So we still have some wildlife issues from time to time, and I got a contact from a really good wildlife manager at Missouri Department of Parks and Recreation who presented on that topic. And a really interesting presentation on really kind of the future of aviation on the topic of unmanned aerial traffic management. And as I listened to this person present at the conference, I was thinking that would probably be a really good presentation to this board. And so it's my goal to reach out to him and maybe see if we can get him on one of our future meetings next year. I might turn it over to Dan Bourne just for a second to see if he wants to talk about any of the, seminars he attended, because he and I didn't necessarily attend all the same ones. Dan?
Yeah, this is Dan Bourne, board member. And I found it very useful also. The portal presentation, I thought, really clarified for me a lot of the obscurities with the whole FAA approval process. It'll allow you to see exactly where your various applications are in the process. And I also attended one on airport security, cybersecurity, I thought was really interesting, about the inroads that people are making into the computer systems in airports and the means of combating those. So yeah, it was all very enlightening.
Great, thank you for attending, Dan. And this conference is held annually in the Kansas City area, and so if, in the future, if other board members would like to attend, just please let me know, and we'll make sure we can find the funding for board members to attend this conference, because it is really helpful. Also, that took place at the Four States Conference was a meeting of the Kansas Association of Airports, so I was able to attend that meeting as well, and that was just really helpful to, again, touch base with other Kansas airport managers. And one of the things that the KAA does is lobby for airport funds across the state. And so one of the items that was discussed at that meeting was the amount of funding that KDOT provides through its KAIP program to Kansas airports. Right now, they provide about $5 million annually. And there was discussion among the group to try to reach out to KDOT and or to maybe adopt a policy statement to ask for more funding. And so as a result of that meeting, the KAA board did put together a policy document asking for about $15 million in KDOT funding for this program. So, we're, as a group, this is important for our airport to be a part of. And somehow I got to be part of the board as well. I was elected to the board during that meeting, and I was also elected to serve as secretary of the KAA board. So that will help me, again, as a new airport manager, to really make good contacts in Kansas with other airport managers, and to be a part of this group that's actively lobbying the state for more funding for our airports. And there's actually a KAA board meeting tomorrow that I will take part in. Just some updates on all the things going on at the airport. It continues to be an active place, and lots of things to report back to this board on. The ARGP funds, we did get notice in the summer that we were going to be eligible for about $59,000 in. This is really from the ARPA funding from the Biden administration, kind of the first round of funding to come out of ARPA. And I did submit those documents back to FAA. I'm just waiting on the formal grant agreements to come back from them to complete our application to get those funds. Back in August, we reported on kind of the selection process for selecting a new airport engineering firm. And I'm happy to report that the recommendation out of that process was for Garver Engineering to become the new airport engineers. And on the October 12th City Commission agenda, the City Commission approved an engineering services agreement for Garver for a 5-year term that will end December 31st, 2026. And we've actually got Mark Williams on the call tonight that will be the lead project manager for Garver for serving the airport. And he's going to talk to us a little bit later on the agenda. But I am really pleased to have Garver on board. They're already helping us with projects, and they're just going to be a huge asset to our airport going forward. The next item I have to report on is kind of something that's came out of various meetings with airport tenants and tours of their businesses out there that Rick and I discovered, and that our tenants are having real trouble sometimes with attracting skilled labor and skilled workforce to their operations out at the airport. So that led us to reach out to our local technical school, Peaslee Tech, to see what kind of programs they might have available to serve our airport tenants. And kind of the goal of the meeting was to kind of start a dialogue between the tenants and Peaslee Tech staff about workforce development. And we had a great turnout. Most of the main tenants out at the airport were there at that meeting with the Peaslee staff. And that was really, I think, for a lot of us, the first time even being in the room together to discuss, airport issues and what different tenants out at the airport were seeing. And so we got a nice tour of the Peaslee Tech Center by the director, Dr. Kevin Kelly. And then a couple days later, he reached out to Rick and I to discuss ways to follow up from that meeting. And one of the things he suggested was that perhaps in terms of ways that Peaslee Tech could partner with the airport in identifying students interested in a career in aviation would be to form a Douglas County Aviation Club. And so that was just an initial meeting, an initial idea. Rick and I really haven't done anything with that idea yet, and we really haven't followed up with the tenants out at the airport to see what their level of interest is in this topic. But I did put that on tonight's agenda under board items, so you guys can weigh in on this as well. But this was just kind of a first step in really kind of partnering with Peaslee and maybe doing some workforce development to help our tenants out at the airport. And it was, again, just a super positive meeting. The Peaslee Tech staff is awesome, and they're ready and willing to help our airport succeed. Just an update on the Hetrick additional new hangar project. We are continuing to review the engineering plans from Land Plan Engineering, Hetrick's engineering firm on this project. I would say the plans are probably at a 95% state. They are working on the public improvement plans and the taxiway plans for the components of their airport expansion out there. One of the things that we've already started to work with Garver on is to review on our end the taxiway plans to kind of make sure that they meet all the FAA requirements for pavement design. Even though we're not getting any FAA funding at this point for the construction of the taxiway, it will be a taxiway that can serve future development out there at the airport, especially for any additional hangars that may be constructed to the south of this new Hetrick hangar. And therefore, we want to make sure that it's constructed to FAA standards and could be at least eligible for additional improvements and or extensions in the future. We really expect this project to get kicked off in the next few weeks. The KIP grants were due last week, actually October 31st, so just Sunday. And again, Garver is already on board, working hard for us and helped me put together the grant applications. If you recall, last year we received 2 applications for improvement of the pavement areas around the T Hangar A, and we did not get the third grant application around T hangars B and C. So this year, Garver helped us identify, we end up putting in 2 grant applications and not 3, as my report says. One, Garver felt that the grants that we were awarded last year for the pavement around the hangar A, especially, I would say, with the cost escalations we've seen in recent public improvement projects, that the amount of that award is just not enough. It's not enough to do the project in a way that, it needs to be done. And then also, we have seen some drainage issues around that hangar that need to be addressed. And so our grant application was for a much larger amount to address that issue and to also address the pavement areas around T hangars B and C. And then we put in a second grant application for engineering design services that will cover the design work that has to happen to make that project happen. Let's see. I did meet with Chris O'Brien from Uplift Coffee, and they haven't had a lot of success in serving the airport out at the airport for football game days. Just not a lot of traffic at their food truck, but they are open to continuing to try that again. I think Chris said they were going to try again during basketball season, and I believe that officially starts tonight. So I don't know if they're out there tonight, but they were going to try again, and they were also going to reach out to airport tenants about getting their food truck out there from time to time to serve the tenants at the airport. The gate controller project, this is a project that we did have funding through the CARES Act. We were designing that in-house with our own engineer by the name of Gary Reinheimer. That project was set to bid, and bid opening happened September 21st, but we didn't get any responses from the first round of bidding. So Gary reached out to some contractors and held another pre-bid meeting. And then we did open bids again on October 19th and got a couple bids for that project. Unfortunately, as the city has seen with all of our public projects recently, costs have continued to escalate. I think Amanda Saheen was thinking that we could fund this project with the $69,000 we had from that CARES Act grant. The lowest bid came in at about $99,000. So we will be able to do this project. We're just going to have to go through a little bit more process. I think I'll be able to combine the ARPA grant and this CARES Act grant to cover the cost of automating these 2 gates out at the airport. I think we just will have to take that back to probably the City Commission to amend our CIP because that project has reached that $100,000 level. But we'll get it done, and we expect it to get going probably in early 2022. The airport terminal project, this was a project that the city had allocated our own capital improvement funds for this year. We had hired a local architectural group to come up with some plans for that project. And so we ended up settling on kind of a design for creation of an ADA accessible bathroom at the airport, as well as a remodel of the 2 existing bathrooms. And so that was kind of the scope of the project. We didn't have a huge amount of CIP funds set aside for this project. We only had about $120,000. Bids were open on just last week, October 26th. I was talking to, again, Gary Reinheimer has been our staff point person on that today. We think we're going to be able to get the low bidder under contract here soon under that project and get going on it. Let's see. I just wanted to update you on the next bullet point on current terms of the city CIP budget and maintenance plan. So we have, kind of a list of projects that we expect to get FAA funding for next year, which means the city has to budget for them in 2022. So a couple of these items that were included in the city's capital improvement plan. The terminal apron project, which we expect to get word on hopefully within the next few weeks from FAA, is included for $120,000 in funding, and we anticipate over $1 million in FAA funding for that project. The rehab of Taxiway A was recommended for $180,000 in city funds. Anticipated federal funds are approximately $1.6 million. And in the city's rehabilitation of runway 119, we have that slated for $217,000 in the 2024 budget. So again, just wanted to keep the board updated on the city's end of those budget items. On September 8th, we got a visit from KDOT Aviation staff for a scheduled triennial inspection. Greg Chenoweth visited the airport along with another KDOT staff person and toured the airport with Rick Bryant and I. He had a big kind of laundry list of details that he had to check off his inspection list, and I attached a copy of that KDOT report. But one of the major kind of items to note is that the activity listing of active parachute operations was removed from the 5010 report that KDOT files with the FAA as a result of that inspection. Let's see, another grant that we as staff went after was kind of another pot of money through KDOT. You know, KDOT has this annual KAIP, Kansas Airport Improvement Program, but they also sent out an announcement in late August of another program called the Cost Share Program. And we thought that the Hetrick expansion project, along with the taxiway, really met the criteria for that program. And so we worked with Hetrick to put in an application for funding for that project, and for that set of KDOT funds, we applied for approximately $1 million in support of the hangar and the taxi lane construction, and we expect a decision to be made by KDOT staff here in the next few weeks in November on our grant application there as well. A couple items, and then I'll wrap up and open it up for questions. I think at our last few commission meetings, we've been kind of keeping you updated on the growth of Eurotec out at the airport. And I think most of our board members were out there at the airport that evening for the fly-in event, and you've seen the growth of Eurotec out at our airport and their operations there. And so staff has been working with them to identify an area on the airport to expand into and to work towards developing plans for building a new hangar and office space. And so on the October 12th City Commission agenda, the City Commission approved a ground lease to lease about 93,000 square foot area kind of immediately south of Bryant Way. That's the area inside the fence that we use for parking purposes the night of the KDOT fly-in event. And that lease was approved. It was kind of had some escalating provisions on it. You know, initially it's just going to be vacant ground that Eurotec can use for flight operations if they need it. And as they build out their project, we'll enter into a long-term 20-year lease at some escalating rates for the ground lease on their project. And here in a bit, we'll hear from Chad Decker. He's on our agenda tonight. He's the president of Eurotec, and he's going to just introduce himself more to the board and tell us a little bit more about their plans out at our airport. And finally, a couple items. You know, one of the great things that happened as a result of the fly-in event was some KU students came out tonight. They were mentioned in the Lawrence paper, I think just a week before that event, and they were students of Professor Barrett Gonzalez. They had won some awards at some international competitions, and he had his students out at the airport a couple weeks ago. And we also, Rick Bryan and I had a tour from some KU graduate students in the Masters in Public Administration class who are taking a class on infrastructure and infrastructure management. And we led those students on a really nice tour of the airport that evening too, and just got a lot of positive comments back from everything happening out at the airport from Professor Zacharias. Hannes, if you don't know him, is a former Johnson County manager who's now teaching in the KU MPA program. So just to hear his comments on everything going on out at the airport was just super positive. And finally, the last item to note is the city has started an Instagram page. If you are a social media person, follow the city on Instagram. Some of the very first pictures posted on that account were from the fly-in event. The YouTube video that we showed a minute ago is also posted on the city's YouTube account. So again, I'm continuing to work with really our awesome communications staff to promote things that are going on at the airport. So follow us and share some of those posts with your own followers if you're out there on social media. Wow. You know, there's probably a couple other items that I were going to report on tonight too before I open it up for questions. One of the things that Rick Bryant reminded me of today was the passing of former Congressman Dennis Moore. Rick reminded me that Congressman Moore had really jump-started some key development out at the airport from his time in Congress in the roughly 1999 to 2001 timeframe with a $2 million congressional earmark. And the earmark program is something that senators, representatives have the power to kind of identify funds in the federal budgeting process for projects back in their district. And he was just a great advocate and supporter of our airport. And if you followed the Lawrence paper today, Congressman Moore did pass away. So I wanted to mention that item. The other kind of thing that didn't make it into my report is that, you know, the Lawrence Airport, in terms of the big organizational chart of the city, falls under this department called Municipal Services and Operations, MSO. The current director of MSO, no relation to me, is Dave Wagner. He announced his retirement coming up in December. And the city just announced today that Melinda Harger, who is one of the assistant directors, she's actually a person that I've been reporting to since I joined the department back in August, is going to take over as the interim director of MSO, and she will do a great job until the city goes through the process to hire a full-time director. And with that, I will be quiet and answer any questions you guys might have.
Okay, this is Richard Haig, Chair. If there aren't any questions, we'll move on. I'm going to flip-flop the next couple items on the agenda since we have some guests that have been patiently waiting, and we'll take those up before we take our normal business activities. So I think we would first like to introduce Chad Decker of Eurotec and let him introduce himself and his company a little bit to people that may not know him. And Chad, welcome aboard. Are you with us, Chad?
Thanks, Richard. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes. We can, yes.
You can? Okay, great.
Hear you great.
Well, first of all, I'd like to extend a big thanks to the board and Scott for having me here this evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Chad Decker, and I'm the founder and managing member of Eurotec Vertical Flight Solutions. So I was requested to join this evening to share a little bit of background on me, Eurotec, and secondly, to officially announce our plans for expansion. So with that said, a little bit about myself and my family. My wife and I have lived here in Lawrence for the past 28 years. After moving from Washington State, where I grew up, I spent 5 years in the U.S. Navy, and following my honorable discharge from service, we decided to move back to Kansas. My wife is an original native of Kansas and a graduate of KU, and she decided to continue her education there at KU and finally received her PhD in 2006. We have 2 children. My son is 20 And my daughter, she's 17 and a senior at LHS this year. As for me, I'm a private pilot. My career in aviation began back in 1993, where I took a position with an aircraft company as a salesman. I quickly grew through this position, and while there, dealt with a consortium of general, corporate, and commercial airline customers. In 2000, I started this company from my home, generally as, excuse me, as a broker, putting buyers and sellers together who were looking for helicopters and spare parts. We quickly grew steadily over the years, expanded the business, and eventually purchased the facility here in Eudora, Kansas. Our operations out here are mainly admin, sales, and a main warehouse where we store and ship helicopter spare parts. In 2008, we became a FAA certified repair station, and we expanded our operations here in Eudora to include engine and component MRO. This new capability afforded us the opportunity to inspect engines and helicopter parts and components that we sell to our customers worldwide. We also perform these same inspections for our customers. About 8 years ago, we expanded a bit further and began leasing hangar space at the airport to perform maintenance and completions on new and used helicopters. This kind of business has expanded for us a great deal, and we now occupy 3 hangars at the airport. We've established a helicopter showroom where we can display new and used helicopters we have for sale, and a maintenance facility for heavy helicopter repair and modifications. Eurotec is also a design and engineering company. Those engineers that we have on staff are involved in modifications, including recent FAA approvals to install lithium-ion batteries in helicopters. So given the increase in operations at the airport and overall, there's a need for us to consolidate our operations. Having said that, we're currently working on a conceptual design for a new hangar and office space at the Lawrence Airport, which will serve as our main headquarters and operations for many years to come. So that's a short story about Eurotec and myself. For those who don't know, I appreciate the opportunity to share some of the history with you. And if anybody would like to know more about us or what we do, please don't hesitate to visit. Our hangar facilities are open normally Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Awesome. Do we have any questions for Chad while we have him on mic? We got a quiet group tonight, Chad. Hey, Chad.
This is Ron Renz. I'd just like to welcome Chad to the airport. He's been here a while. I know he's helped Lifestar out quite a bit, some of their stuff they've done, and Chad's just been a really good additional tenant at the airport. And I, for one, am very happy that he's chosen Lawrence to be part of us, to be part of our airport and part of our community, and he really brings something to this city. Welcome, Chad.
Thank you, Ron.
This is Chris Coleman, board member. Also want to congratulate Chad for his expansion, and want to also say thank you to Eurotec for partnering with RCB Bank to sponsor the dinner for the pilots. Really appreciated you getting involved in that. I've had the opportunity to tour Chad's operation here in Lawrence. I highly recommend taking him up on his offer. It's a really cool space, his office area and the director's room. You want to go check it out. It really is really a great place. So anyway, thanks.
Thanks, Chris.
Chad, thank you very much, and we do appreciate you being at the airport. And for those that are interested, the aviation design side of Chad goes into aviation design furniture as well, and that's quite the office furniture setup. It's pretty impressive. It's pretty cool, Chad. Thanks.
Thanks.
All right. Next, let's introduce who's it from?
Mark Williams.
Mark Williams from Garver Engineering. That's our new engineering firm that's coming on board just at the right time when we have a lot of growth and a lot of activity that they can help us with. Mark?
You bet. If you don't mind, I was going to share a quick slide. Is that okay?
We're good. Hopefully your technical stuff works better than ours.
Well, I'll cross your fingers here. I'll try not to embarrass myself here. So, can y'all see that slide?
We can.
All right. I saw some heads nod, so I'm going to assume that's a yes. So.
Yes, it is.
Well, all right. Well, thank you for the opportunity to present to the Airport Advisory Board tonight. And most importantly, thank you for your confidence in Garver to serve as your next engineering consultant for the Lawrence Regional Airport. We were honored to be out at the fly-in and congratulate your efforts on that. That was a great event. Me and some members of our team had an enjoyable evening that night. And Chad, we really were fascinated by your facilities. So congratulations on your expansion. First, want to just tell you a little bit about myself. Mark Williams, once again with Garver. We are an engineering consulting firm, and we're based in Overland Park, Kansas, at least the team that's going to serve the airport. I've been in the aviation and design industry for 28 years. All of that's been based in Kansas, here in the Kansas City area. Garver as a company is a 102-year-old company, and for 65 years has been involved in the aviation design. Almost 9 years ago, at the beginning of 2013, Garver expanded into Kansas. We're headquartered in Little Rock, Arkansas, and they asked me to come on board to open an office for them in Kansas. They had been serving airports in the southeast portion of the state and had asked me to come on board to help expand their footprint further north than where they were. So right now we have 38 offices across the country. 21 of those have aviation practices. In fact, we have over 100 employees dedicated to aviation design, which makes us one of the largest pure civil and electrical aviation design firms in the country. And currently we're ranked number 18 in the United States for pure aviation design. A lot of those firms have large architecture projects that design terminals like the new Kansas City International Terminal, which is not what we have that specialty. We're purely civil and electrical engineers that focus on airfield design and the transportation systems that lead to airports. So we bring quite a bit of capacity to help the Lawrence Regional Airport, as well as our other clients, to complete projects in a timely manner. And what we've seen, and you guys are witnessing it right now, is an escalation of the amount of funding that's available. But what that also means is being reactionary to some tight deadlines. So we're proud of the fact that we've got, if need be, over 100 personnel that we can we can tap into. I'm based in Overland Park, Kansas. We have a dedicated aviation and planning and construction team here. We've got 8 people here in Overland Park within our design team, our airport planning and construction team. And we also have an office in Wichita that brings us to a total of 8 dedicated aviation engineers and planners and 13 construction observers that are involved in overseeing construction of our aviation projects. So not only do we have a large capacity nationally, but here in Kansas, we bring one of the largest aviation practices as well. Just want to highlight a few members of our team, the org chart that you can see on the slide. As I mentioned, I will be the project manager, so I'll be the single point of contact with Scott. Utilize my years of experience and the relationships with the FAA and KDOT Aviation to help advocate for additional funding and gain support for your projects as you continue your airport growth. The 2 people at the top, Tim O'Cronley and Nathan Paulsgrove, next to me in the org chart, are 2 former airport managers. And so we're proud to have them on our staff to support the business side of the airports for our clients and help support Scott in any way he may need. Caleb Coltrane will be leading our airfield design aspects, leading the team in that. He brings over 12 years of experience dedicated to the aviation design, and most of that experience is based here in Kansas. And then Brad Watkins, who we had at the interview. Brad brings 30 years of experience in the construction industry to oversee the construction during the projects, and has recently completed projects at Chanute in Clinton, Missouri, and a few other airports. So he brings a detailed knowledge of the FAA side of it as well. I want to just talk about just some of the experience that we're bringing from Kansas to the Lawrence Regional Airport. The first is with KDOT. We were selected by KDOT to be the statewide pavement management consultant. So every airport in the state of Kansas that has a paved runway, we are going to inspect it or have inspected it. In fact, we have 2 teams out doing inspections right now. And Lawrence is on the radar for the, roughly the first week of December when we'll be in Lawrence. And with that, we're going to inspect every square foot of paved surfaces on the airport. And what this will do is will provide KDOT as well as the FAA a detailed understanding of the pavement infrastructure improvement needs throughout the state of Kansas, and will help Scott and the Lawrence Regional Airport in their capital improvement plan development. So it's going to be an online tool that folks will have access to, and we're really looking forward to that. KDOT did an aggressive program. Usually this is a 3-year process. We're going to complete everything within 1 year. So all the inspections of the 80 airports in the NIPIAS are going to be done in the next 6 weeks. And we had the 32 non-NIPIAS airports done earlier this year. At Jabara, Scott mentioned the runway 119 project out at Lawrence. Jabara, we just recently completed a similar project, more of what I call a pavement maintenance project, joint sealing, select panel replacements, and restriping the runway. And so Jabara, if those that aren't familiar, is a general aviation airport on the northeast side of the Wichita metropolitan area. Very busy airport there. another similar project there. We are just completing the construction of taxiway Alpha 3, which is similar to what you're doing for the Hetrick Hangar 2. So extending a taxi lane to access future development. And so we worked with the Wichita Airport Authority and the FAA on funding on that. And so we're glad to help the city of Lawrence and Hetrick Aviation on, the development of that taxi lane to meet FAA standards. And then Strotherfield, which is between Arc City and Winfield in the southeast portion of the state. T-Hangar taxi lane rehabilitation and construction, much like what Scott had mentioned he had applied for the Kansas Airport Improvement Program. So bringing a lot of recent experience in Kansas, advocating through KDOT as well as the FAA for funding for our clients. And we look forward to working with the Lawrence Regional Airport and helping utilize our relationships to hopefully bring some more funding to the airport and help you achieve your development goals. So I'd be glad to answer any questions that anybody has.
Does anybody have any questions for Mark? Mark, we really appreciate you taking the time tonight to explain to us, and welcome to the Lawrence Airport, and look forward to working with you and your staff coming up.
Thank you so much. We're excited for the opportunity.
Thank you. Hey, this is Richard Haig, Chair, and I was going to go back to the number 3 item now, which is to receive an update on the 2022 Air Race Classic event. And Clancy, do you have an update for us?
I have a few items to pass along, and then Teresa White of the Air Race Classic is here, and I'm sure she can fill you in on anything that I don't know about. She knows everything. What I know for sure is that the dates, I believe, Teresa, correct me if I'm wrong, are June 21st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th for the race of 2022. And we are the 6th stop. That's about 1,400 miles into the race. And so I think we can probably expect a number of aircraft someplace around maybe 30 or 40 to remain overnight in Lawrence. I think Teresa told me that the registration could be between 55 and 60 airplanes. So, but we don't anticipate they would all stop here. The Air Race Classic does not have mandatory stops like the Kansas Air Tour does. We'll need plenty of volunteers. I think probably starting on, I doubt anybody will get here on the first day. It's possible, but unlikely. But certainly the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th days of the races, we will probably need volunteers to help with timing and transportation, basically all day for 3 days. So we'll be looking for a lot of folks. And luckily, we've developed a crew of people who helped with the Kansas Air Tour. And I think we'll probably get some help from those folks right away. And I'll be contacting the 99s for assistance also. We'll need basically the same kind of equipment that we needed for the air tour, along with handheld radios. The aircraft themselves will be tracked by spot trackers. And so we'll have plenty of notice about when race aircraft are going to be inbound. Teresa, I believe, told me that there would be a class in March or April for timers. So we're going to want to work early enough to get people signed up for that. And then at that point, I guess I'm going to turn it over to Teresa for anything she would like to add.
I think you've covered it pretty well, Clancy. Thank you. This is my name's Teresa White, and I'm on the board of directors for Air Race Classic. I'm in charge of the route division, which handles all of the en route stops. So I help with all the planning and organizing, and I also help plan the route in advance. We did it a few years in advance. And as some of you may know, Lawrence was planned as a stop last year, or this year, I guess, and we canceled this year's race. So we pushed it off to 2022. The race starts in Lakeland, Florida. So, and they all start around the same time. They take off one after another. And like Clancy said, we typically have, we open it up to 60 registrations. Usually we don't have, a full field. Sometimes some people drop out after that. But after 2 years of cancellations, we really don't know how to predict how many people we may have. Back in the 70s, it was more like in the 30s because of gas prices, but it's been pretty full up until COVID. So we'll see what happens. We're all very hopeful. Anyway, they'll be starting on Tuesday morning out of Lakeland. They go to each one of the stops. They don't have to land at every stop, but they do have to do a timing flyby at every one of the stops. There's 8 en route stops. And like I think Clancy explained it pretty well, that with Lawrence being the 6th stop, you probably won't see anybody the first day, but they'll be trickling in after that. The one thing, usually, it's a trickle, but if there's a weather delay at one of the previous stops where they all get stuck at one stop, maybe in Ada or in Arkansas at Pine Bluff, then they all might be arriving all at the same time. But if the weather's pretty good, then they'll be just coming in gradually. So what they'll do is they'll come in and they'll do a low approach timing flyby at offset to one of the runways. And I'm thinking it's probably going to be, I think 119, I believe, is the runway we were looking at. I'm not positive, but, and then they'll go back around, enter the traffic pattern normally, land, get fuel. Some will stay overnight. Some will just, take a break and then go on after that. The stops can do as much or as little as they want to do. They can plan a big to-do, invite the public, have youth activities, celebrate this historic race. You can provide food. It's nice to at least provide water and maybe some light refreshments, but if you want to provide a little bit more, that's always appreciated. And then if you can have volunteers maybe to help transport people back and forth to to the hotels for those who are staying, that's always appreciated. But other than that, if you have just rental cars, Uber, whatever, just provide information so the racers can make their own transportation plans. Let's see. We do have a Best Stop Award, and that's one that the racers vote on. If you want to be creative, if you want to have a theme for your airport, you can do that and make a big to-do about it, and the racers vote on their favorite stops. I will say that since every racer doesn't stop at every airport, it's not exactly fair because some don't experience the greatness of some airports while others do. So, but it's a lot of fun. It's just the award is a plaque that you get to hang in your airport or your FBO, wherever you'd like. Let's see, I think that's about it, unless there's some other questions. I think I shared a video with Scott and Clancy that was made by the Ada Airport back in 2006, the last time the race came through Lawrence. And it just so happens that Ada was the previous stop that year, and it's the same this year. And it really kind of gives a pretty good overview if you have a chance to look at it. If you haven't, it's available on our website at airraceclassic.org. And if you scroll down a little ways, there's some featured videos, and it's a featured video there.
Thanks, Teresa. I have, Teresa has provided me and Scott with the proposed flyby information, and I also obtained the flyby information from the 2006 race, Teresa.
Oh, good.
And so it's slightly different, and I'm sure that we'll have some comments and whatever for you eventually on it. I know that Scott's going to work on it, but we're keeping it secret.
Oh, good. I'd be interested to see that one from 2006.
I'll send it to you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Anybody have questions?
I think the only question I would have for Teresa is, as it gets closer to, as far as the hospitality of the city of Lawrence, would it be possible to get just a random number of who might be interested in staying in Lawrence, so we know kind of how many to accommodate for as far as cars and rides and support for those pilots that may want to step in the night? Or is that kind of just they go on the fly, that they may stop and may not? Is there a plan for that?
No, there's not really any way to do that. I mean, I'll certainly give you the total number of racers, but once they take off out of Florida, they are on their own to, plan their own strategy. They'll strategize around the winds and the weather and, where they want to go and where they want to be, where they plan to stop. And of course, the weather dictates everything. You don't have too much control over that. So you will, but like Clancy said, they carry spot trackers, and that's displayed on a map on the website. So you'll be able to get an idea. I mean, that's not an exact science, but you'll get an idea of where they are and about how many teams you think will be coming your way. And if it's late in the day, you can anticipate that they'll be staying overnight. But you won't know that till, you won't know that in advance. It'll be last minute.
Super. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? I think that I spoke with Scott about last week about this, and we're hoping that the city can provide transportation, or at least vehicles, a city bus or something, to go back and forth to whatever hotels get organized. And I'll probably be trying to work with a couple of other people to put together, goodie bags and information about, I know that we have to give you information about hotels at a certain point, Teresa, and whatever else, but you just had your board meeting too, so I'm assuming information will be coming out shortly after the first of the year, maybe.
Yeah, I'll be in touch with that. I do want to say one thing though. I heard mention of a food truck. That's an option you might look into, especially if you invite the public to come out and see the racers. If it looks like you're going to have a lot of racers there one day, it might be of interest to some people to come out and watch, or if you have a youth event or anything like that. I don't think Lawrence does Lawrence have an aviation program? I don't know that they do. Not Lawrence, the university.
No.
They have a complete aviation department, aero engineering. We do have an aerospace school.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We do not have a flight school associated with the university. The Kansas regions have assigned only one region school can have a flight program, and that was awarded to K-State years ago. But as far as KU goes, we do have an aerospace engineering program.
Okay. Well, that might be a good group to contact. I mean, I don't know if they'd be interested or not, but they might be.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thanks for having me.
Clancy, the one thing we did have on here was to appoint 2 advisory board members to serve on the Air Race Classic Planning Committee. Would you want 2 besides yourself, or just 2 total?
I don't know yet, but I think the more the better. We're going to need basically the same kind of equipment and organization, but for a longer period of time that we had for the air tour. So I think a couple of people would be real helpful.
Okay. Now, is this something you want to ramp up now, or do you want to ramp up after, toward the end of the year or beginning of next year when we get closer to the schedule, or is this something you'd like to get rolling now?
Given that we have the training period that will be in March or April, I think we should start probably in maybe next month working to try to get people to volunteer. So we've got a good days right now from the air tour. So I'd like to get started on that. And the rest, I think, could probably be done more or less the way we did it for the air tour. But the timing issue, I think, is important, although they are going to, Teresa, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of the timing will be done by the spot trackers, but we still need ground timers. right?
Yeah, so the spot trackers are just to show them on the map. They also carry bad elves, which will help provide the timing data. But yes, we do need timers on the ground. And since it will be, the racers can fly from sun up to sundown. So, it's a long day. And that's why we have it the third week in June every year, because those are the longest days. But that makes a long day for volunteers too. So it's best to have a good number of volunteers that can rotate in and out. But we have the timers on the ground to give us backups in case their equipment fails in the airplane, but also to judge the quality of the flyby, if it's too high, too low, not safe. Sometimes there's dual flybys and we may need a little clarification on who was where, when. And so it's really important to have timers on the ground. But for Air Race Classic and for me, since I'm kind of in charge of this area, we need a head timer and a stop chair. And the stop chair is my main point of contact during the race. There's certain information that has to be sent to the race officials every night. And then for all the planning and everything, it's best that we not bother Scott too much because he's got an airport to run. So if we have a stop chair, that can be our main point of contact, and a head timer for the timing crew to have our timing officials to have a point of contact. That's the way we prefer it. So it doesn't have to be somebody on the board that has those roles, but somebody to oversee it would be fine.
What I would like to do is try to enlist a volunteer from one of the 99s chapters who has experiences at the timing. I've done it way long ago, and it usually takes 3 people on a timing team.
Yeah.
And if you're sitting out in the sun, probably not under the canopy unless you've got, because you're going to have to watch the flyby. I think maybe 3 hours at a whack is going to be enough for people need a break. So I think we're going to have numerous teams every day on that. So I'd like to do that. And then if I can find somebody to be the stop chair, I think that would be a good thing. Otherwise, I may be the stucky, as I've said before. So if I am the person who winds up being the stop chair, I'll need 2 people. If I'm not, and I can get it to somebody else, then I can probably do it with another board member, if that makes sense to you.
Super. So do we want to take some volunteers of board members that want to participate now? And now how
that would be good.
Okay. Well, I'd throw my name in the hat because I'd love to be part of it and keep things going wherever I could.
Well, you're definitely on my
board
list,
member. I'm happy to throw my name in as well.
Okay, so I've got Scott and Tiffany, right? All right, that's good. Thanks.
Super. All right. Let's move on. This is Richard Haig, Chair, and we'll go for the FBO report from Lloyd. Lloyd, are you still with us?
I am. Hi there. I don't know other than what's happened since we last reported, but I do suppose we've just, as far as our 135 operation, we've added a second Keen Air 350 to our fleet. So we now have the 2 aircraft to complement that charter operation. And we're seeing plenty of it. We're not even advertising yet. We're outside of our 91 operations. We seem to get a lot of it. I think we're hitting 3 or 4 a month right now without even trying. But so that's out there. We've also, due to the air tour that we had, we put those that came out, it's all we demoed our helicopter out there, or static displayed it, and we're up and going in Kansas City with that now. It is operated as a skybound helicopter at the downtown airport. So if you know anybody want to learn how to fly or needs helicopters, that's where we're operating out of there. We've got took 2 deliveries. I got the R-22 at 2 place that we're using primarily for instruction. And then we got the R44 that's a four-place that's being used right now more for air tours over the plaza, whatever. We've taken a delivery of our second R22 next month, and we got another one, R44, on order, and I believe it's in May. It's right now projected to deliver. So things are kicking off over there. We're starting to see a lot of activity with that. And other than that, I don't know if they've got anything else. Anybody got any questions? That'd be great. If not, I would say thanks for everybody that helped with the air tour. I thought that thing was a great turnout. It's always great to get the public out to the airport for whatever we can. They start to figure out we got an airport out here. So thanks for everybody that helped with that. And it was great. And Chad and his group, and of course, all the board members. So.
Thank you, Lloyd. One question is, are you doing the helicopter instruction out of Lawrence Airport, or is it mostly out of downtown?
Right now, it's just out of downtown. We've got a few that are showing interest in it. Right now, I think they're just driving there. But our hope would be maybe between Lawrence or Topeka, we might expand this direction, you know, in a year, I'm guessing, once we got the activity to do it. But in past years, we've had enough in Lawrence to do it. But right now, we're just concentrating the downtown area.
Super. Thank you, Lloyd.
Yeah.
Nancy Maloney, board member. Lloyd, I just wanted to pass along that I really appreciated on the air tour what a great job your line crew did.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I thought it went well. It was
Especially Sean.
Yeah, he's a worker. Yeah.
He is.
All right. The next agenda item would be to receive input on the following items. First, the youth aviation camp, which I think Rick Bryant's gonna take over on. So Rick, if you could bring us up to date.
Thank you. This is Rick Bryant.
Stop pushing the button.
Oh, sorry. I'm not supposed to push the button. Okay. I'm going to give a little background on the history of the Aviation Youth Camp at Lawrence for our new board members. So kind of get up to speed before we get into some of the key discussion points. Our first camp was held Saturday, June 4th on 2011. It was a half-day camp geared towards middle school students. We charged $25, and that $25 registration fee included a camp t-shirt, a half day of aviation instruction that we used 4 modules from AOPA, and then we had a graduation pizza party with certificates of completion. As we moved forward and expanded our offerings, it got into 3/4 of a day and included a flight around Lawrence by volunteer pilots. Our average attendance was somewhere between 24 to 28 students at the camps. And the students were sometimes out of city. We had a couple that were from out of state, but most of them were Lawrence residents. We did not hold a camp in 2021 due to COVID-19. It has been a very popular event, and we've had a lot of repeat campers, and it helps move some of these with an interest in aviation into potential flight instruction, which we have had, or moving into more advanced camps, such as the camp at the Cosmosphere in Hutchinson or the space camp down in Alabama. So our discussion for tonight is somewhat general, but we want to get some action accomplished out of this. Does the Aviation Advisory Board wish to continue this event? Then if the answer is yes, then we need to start working on a date. And then, as we've just heard, the Air Race Classic is going to run June 21st to the 24th with a stop at Lawrence. The Aviation Advisory Board has traditionally partnered with Lawrence Parks and Recreation to help promote, and Lawrence Parks and Rec provided the online registration for campers to pay their fees and participate in the camp. Dwayne Peterson over at LPRD has served as our liaison and compadre on these camps. If moving forward, then camp development has historically required 2 to 3 Aviation Advisory Board volunteers to help organize, format, and recruit camp staff. And then the last item is the last couple of camps, we had a risk manager for the city who would not permit us to recruit volunteer pilots for insurance reasons. Even though we vet the pilots, we vet the aircraft, we go through all the paperwork and we have waivers. But Scott and I have talked about this, and he's visiting with the new risk manager for the city to determine what's possible. And I don't have that information tonight to share. Scott may have it. So the pressing question is, does this board want to continue offering an aviation youth camp in 2022? If so, need a couple of volunteers, need to start throwing out some dates, and we need to start prepping and organizing and getting ready for this event. And I'll stop there and encourage discussion.
This is Richard.
Board member, Rick, what dates did you used to have it on? What month?
Traditionally, Clancy, this is Rick. Traditionally, we have done it when school was out of session in late May, early June. There has been some conversation about, in an attempt to blow by our 28 maximum that we've had at one time, is to have it during the school year, maybe late April, early May. And then, of course, we get into springtime showers and, which doesn't impact the classes, but could impact the traditional free flights that we've offered. So it's usually been in June.
This is Richard Haig. Clancy, we actually changed the date the last 3 years or 4 years of that we had the camp. We put it to the first weekend after KU graduation. And that was before public schools were out. But when we moved it to the middle or late June, what we found is a lot of the parents brought kids out that were not interested in aviation, and it really detracted from the kids that wanted to be there for aviation. We still had full class schedules, but the kids their participation was incredible. And so the first weekend after KU graduation seemed to work really well the last few years that we had it. And we had a good time. We actually, the last few camps, we really could have gone a full day camp and still had plenty of material left to cover. It was kind of rushed to do it in a short amount of time that we did and get the pizza party and everything in. We kind of blended. We had modules for each group. We broke the kids up into 5 flights. And so the kids were in small enough groups that we could use 2 aircraft to do a flight around the city while everybody else was in a module, and then kind of integrated, ending with the pizza party and recognition at the end of the service or the camp. We did not have a camp in 2020 or 21. The 19 one was postponed 3 times for rain, and then kind of went away after that because we got too late into fall to get it, and the volunteers had kind of left. So it really would be neat to not only continue the camp, in my opinion, but also sit down and maybe rework it to get things a little bit better. But some of the challenges I think we're going to have getting the camp going again, I think Parks and Rec is on board. Derek Rogers has been very supportive of it and really wanting to keep it going, is the logistics of it, where we're going to have the modules. The layout of the airport's changed significantly since the last time we had it. So making sure we have places to keep, have the kids, have the modules, have the pizza party, keep things moving and not interfere completely with airport operation. So I really, as a board, I think it would be important to go. So I guess the first decision is do we keep the aviation camp going? We have had a significant number of youth that are going on to aviation careers. We have one young lady that actually we gave her a scholarship for a flight lesson. And she's now in her junior or senior year at KU in aeronautical engineering. and she's now getting ready to sign up for flight lessons and further her aviation career. So it is neat to see some of the kids go on, and a few of them have kept in touch even after the camps have been over and let us know where they're going and what they're doing. So it is rewarding in that side.
This is Jim, Airport Board. The only question I have is, what's the total amount of time for the day of the camp?
What was that again?
What's the total amount of time that the kids are at camp?
In the past, we've started the registration at 8, tried to have the first classes going by 8:30 and have the kids out by 1 or 1:30.
Oh, okay, cool.
I mean, it's just basically a half a day. I would really like to, since we're feeding them lunch anyway, is maybe go a little bit longer, still have a lunch break, but maybe go till mid-afternoon. The only drawback is it's the warmer part of the year, and when you're giving people introductory flights, you want to do it as early in the day as you can, because by 1 or 2 in the afternoon, you're starting to get some thermals and some bumps, and you want it to be a pleasurable ride. You don't want to introduce them to turbulence on their first trip.
Yes.
So I guess the action of the board would be to recommend that we do continue the camp if we're interested in it, have it moved and seconded, and then form a group to get it going. I do have all the materials from the previous camps that I can share with everybody. We even have some leftover t-shirts and things from the previous camps. And I would be happy to get it moving if the board wants to proceed that way.
This is Dan Bourne, board member, and I would really encourage the board to sponsor the camp again. I thought it was a great idea when it was going on. It really got a lot of interest going. And I think it's also a great advertisement for the airport in general.
So is that a motion to?
Yeah, so I'll make the motion to sponsor the camp again.
Okay.
This is Jim Last.
Who seconded it?
Tiffany Hall, unless someone else wishes to do so.
Okay, so motion by Dan Bourne, seconded by Tiffany Hall. So we'll take a roll call vote. So Richard Haig, chair. Aye. Dan Bourne.
Aye.
Chris Coleman.
Aye.
Clancy Maloney.
Aye.
David Haib.
Aye.
Jim Laster.
Aye.
And Tiffany Hall.
Aye.
So passes unanimously. I think the next thing would be maybe to get 2 or 3 people together and just sit down, go over things and see what we can do to get a committee formed to work with, maybe contact and get with Derek Rogers a little bit and get things coordinated. In the past, Parks and Rec have been incredible about bringing tables, chairs, a lot of the stuff that we need to carry out the camp. And maybe we can work with Lloyd and his staff a little bit to make sure where it would work at the airport and rooms and places we can have the kids to get them going. So Richard Haig, chair, I volunteer to help get the camp off and running.
I'll volunteer with you. This is Jim, board.
Anyone else?
This is Chris Coleman, board member. I would participate.
Super. All right, so we've got the camp going. We've got a few people to get together and without violating the Open Meetings Act, and that it is okay if we direct camp questions to each other, Scott?
Yeah, Scott Wagner, airport manager. Yeah, the 3 of you as a subcommittee can direct questions and plan,
do that. Just
plan the event. Yes.
Just keep it related to the camp and we're fine. And so I'll try and get a hold of you guys and get a hold of Derek Rogers and see what we can do to sit down, and I'll show you the materials that we have now and see what we can do to expand on them. Appreciate it. Next is these two kind of go together, but they are different. Creation of a Douglas County Aviation Club and a Lawrence Pilots Club. The Douglas County Aviation Club would be encouraging youth to get into aviation-related careers through Peasley Tech or through their high school, to encourage them to get jobs in the mechanical area, to look for jobs similar to what they would need at Eurotec or on the flight line with Hetrick or in the AMP area. Just different support jobs in aviation. So that's, the club would be geared toward that. Lloyd, I see you're still with us. Would this be similar to what we've gone to fundraisers at the Explorer group at the Billard Airport? Is that kind of what this would be?
Yeah, Lloyd Hetrick with Hetrick Air Service. I would suspect that's kind of what you're talking about, is trying to entice young, teenagers to get started and work towards the aviation career. So I would say it just wouldn't have the backing with Boy Scouts of America type thing, but I could see it being treated the same way, where you get some volunteers to put forth and that leads on into the fly and learn to fly or whatever else they want to do. Yeah.
Thank you. And the Lawrence Pilots Club is something that I've been thinking of for many years, and that would be kind of like the Friends of the Library group that helps support library and its functions. Having a local pilot group that would help support aviation and bring the community to our airport as well. And if we can get some pilot group organized, I mean, that gives us a lot of volunteers to help with other things at the airport. So a lot of it wouldn't just fall on board members and the family of board members, that we could get involvement and let others participate in the operation of our airport and activities out there. So when we have special functions, we could bring a lot of extra people on board to share the experience with us. And I guess my question would be on each of these is, what steps would we take to, if we're interested in promoting those, to getting them off the ground, getting them started, and getting them organized? I mean, we'd have to have, I would, meeting with teachers, with somebody, mentors to help the youth program get started. We do have a CAP group in Lawrence, which is youth supported aviation, that maybe we could work together with to get things moving. That's kind of a military base, which sometimes people shy away from, but we might be able to do it more on the civilian side and include those guys in there. The Civil Air Patrol is a pretty good organization as well, which, for those that don't know, the Civil Air Patrol is a branch of the Air Force. So do you have any comments or input on what do you guys think?
Clancy Maloney, board member. I don't have any recommendations on the Aviation Club, but I think that Peasley would obviously be the right place to start, and then see if we can get airport sponsors working with them, including the CAP. And as far as the Pilots Association is concerned, I don't know if it would be a countywide thing, or we could just start with the airport T-hangar tenants, see what interest we have there. That would be easy enough to do. Just send something out with the next quarterly bills and see who's interested, or do an email to everybody who's a hangar tenant.
I think my one concern would be is we do have a lot of people in Lawrence that own aircraft that are not based in Lawrence. Some of them are based, in smaller cities, some in Vinland, some in some Topeka airports, Kansas City airports. For different reasons, they hangar them there. Sometimes it's just hangar availability. But I think it'd be good to maybe reach out to, the Vinland Airport and some other local close by airports to see if those pilots would be interested in participating as well. The one thing about the Airport Advisory Board is it is limited to people that reside in the city of Lawrence, where this could be area wide, where we could get a lot more regional support for it, or area support anyway, to increase the function that we can do.
Sorry, this is Jim. I guess my biggest reaction would be you'd have to have something in it for the pilots to join. And of all the other pilot groups that I know of, they get some type of benefit of being a member. So I don't know if AOPA's got like many members. I know EAA and other groups do that. And I don't know if we have any of those local chapters locally, but it would be interesting to see if there's something that we could do. The immediate thing would be Lloyd giving up money on the gas. So that'd be probably the quickest way to get people to join locally. But yeah, I don't know, it'd be interesting to see. I wouldn't mind throwing a brainstorming session to figure that out, but I think it'd be tough to get off the floor if you don't have a real carrot to start with.
Exactly. Well, we actually have the regional AOPA guy is usually at our meetings. Larry Kellogg is usually here, and he is the local AOPA representative that would be a valuable resource in doing something like this. So if you want, I could reach out to Larry and talk to him a little bit, and we can address this again at the next meeting. And in the meantime, we can send a letter out to the city, send a letter out to see how many tenants would be interested in participating. You know, a lot of airports have Saturday morning coffee clubs and different things like that. So they get together and just do hangar flying, if nothing else, just to hang out with people that share your passion. So that could be enough for a lot of guys to participate, or a lot of people, because there's a lot of good female pilots, and 99s are an awesome organization. So we have to make sure we don't just say guys, but I think that would be a good place to start, and maybe reach out to the 99s and see if we can get something going. So if you want to, if the board's okay, I'll reach out to Larry Kellogg, and we'll ask Scott to put a message in the next tenants emails that go out, and we'll see what interest we have, and we can address it again at the next meeting.
Nancy Maloney, board member. One thing that, Jim, that might solve part of the problem, aside from cheaper gas, would be just a newsletter too, letting people know what's going on at the airport. That could go out too, again, on email with anything, you know, just a column, you know, as the beacon turns, what's going on at the Lawrence Airport or something, just to keep people informed about it, aside from sitting through meetings like we do all the time.
Well, I know in the past, there's been different groups fly through that organize their own get-togethers at the airport that would have been good to let people know. I know the Tailwind group used to stop by and have a fly-in once a year, and Lloyd can probably tell you other groups of, you know, maybe some RV pilots or different groups that have flown in just for a stopover at the Lawrence Airport. And having a pilots association may help, you know, be a welcome mat for some of these people as well.
Clancy Maloney, board member. Also, it could help out the food truck guy if we knew about things like that happening with a pilots group available.
Awesome. So we'll put a few flyers out. Do we want somebody to formally talk to Peasley or talk to somebody else about what it would take to get a youth club started? Or does anybody have any experience in a group such as that? I've done youth aviation camps, and that's pretty basic, but having a youth club get started might be a little more involved. We probably need some teacher sponsorships or school sponsorships to keep that going.
Lloyd Hetrick was, I think at one time years back, Lawrence High had an aviation group there that was ran with one of the teachers there. I can't think who it was that was running that, but I think you're right. A school sponsorship would be a good starting point where you get the kids' interest there, whether it be, you know, I don't know. It seems for some reason it was an automotive teacher, I think, that was ran that there, but that might be a start. See if you got somebody with some aviation interest in the teacher's field that might help get that thing going, Rick. There's Rich.
This is Chris Coleman, board member. I've had an individual that's been contacting me, Mark Griffiths. He's really interested in getting aviation connected with youth, and understand a lot of the STEM, which I'm not involved in education, but I guess that's part of the accepted curriculum, that aviation classes are being accepted into the schools and recognized as part of their regular education. You know, I'd be interested in helping out and seeing who we need to contact, getting together with Kevin Kelly at Peasley, and just trying to take this the next step. See what we can do to get that club going and get more young people interested in aviation. You know, just not just being a pilot, but the careers that go with it. So.
So why don't we go with that, Chris, if you're willing to do that, and if you want someone to go along, this is Richard Haig, Chair. If you want somebody to go along with you to join in the conversation, I'd be happy to join with you. And maybe it's one that we can talk to the district office or some of the STEM teachers and at the high schools, and see if, or the curriculum directors, and see if it's something that the high schools would want to encourage and participate in. Now that Lloyd had said that, you know, that Lawrence High did have a club, because we did donate some flight controls for simulators and things like that to Lawrence High years ago for their program. But that was years ago, and I haven't heard anything for quite a few years.
This is John Roper. Can you hear me?
We can.
Hi. Yeah, this is John with Restored Aircraft, and I've been running some youth programs the last couple of years, and partnered up with a company called Siemens that does a Solid Edge, and it's similar software that KU uses up at their program. But I would definitely be interested in trying to be a part of this and set up a youth program and be a part of the camp, because we could set up some different types of things that range from doing something with CAD, or doing something with vintage aircraft repair and things like that. But I'd enjoy being involved in that.
That'd be awesome. John, how do we get in contact with you, or can you share your information maybe with Scott, and we can get in touch with you?
Sure. Yeah. Scott has my information.
So awesome. We appreciate that. Is there any other comments on the?
Yeah. Hi, it's Chad Decker again. I've expressed some interest in the past, me and my director of MRO, and we would certainly be willing to participate as much as we possibly can to get this off the ground.
Awesome. Appreciate that. We'll keep you in the loop for sure.
Thanks.
Okay.
Clancy Maloney, board member. I think this is just a suggestion. One thing that might help with generating interest from the T-Hanger folks is if they could have a Eurotec tour too, because I know a lot of them would be very interested in what's going on over there, Chad. So that might be a good come on for the local hangar flying group.
Well, we'd certainly, it would be our pleasure to host them for a visit.
Now, would that be like the tier marketing campaigns that you bring them in for the tour, and then, oh, by the way, while you're here, we're really looking for volunteers to help with this. And, you know, a lot of times my experience when we were looking for volunteers for the aviation camp and things is people are really looking for some way to contribute back to their community, and giving them the opportunity, really, it helps both the kids and the person that's participating. So once we get things organized enough that we know where we can put people and how people can volunteer and help, I think we'll be surprised at how many people step forward.
That sounds fabulous. Love to be a part of it.
Awesome. Greatly appreciate it. Okay, moving on to the final agenda item. Actually, I'm going to step back and just see, is there any other comments of anything we've covered tonight that either members of the public or the board have questions on or would like to comment about before we go into our scheduling?
Tiffany Hall, board member, I do have a comment. Chad and others, thank you so much for your willingness to step forward in that way. I think that we should be very aggressive and very excited about the direction that we're all about to go with the airport and with the fact that we're all under new leadership and have so many exciting opportunities. You're right, we're coming out of a pandemic and people are looking for a way to give back, and they're also looking for a way to support Lawrence. And so we're part of an exciting opportunity right now, and I think we should capitalize on that.
Thank you, Tiffany. Okay, the final item on the agenda is going over our tentative meeting dates for the next calendar year. And so all on Wednesdays, they're basically the first Wednesday of the month. So it'll be February 2nd, May 4th, August 3rd, and November 2nd. And those would be the scheduled calendar days. But if things happen that we need to schedule an extra meeting or a different meeting, we might do that as the air race comes together or the aviation camp comes together. If any major issues come up that the board feels that it's appropriate to have a meeting, we could. But these are the ones that we can put on the city calendar, so people that are wanting to tune in and stay tuned will know the dates already of the pre-scheduled meetings. So is any of these dates create a conflict for anyone? So, okay, I'll take a motion to approve the 2022 calendar as it is presented.
Clancy Maloney, board member, I so move.
We moved by Clancy, seconded.
This is board member Chris Coleman. I'll second.
Moved by Clancy, seconded by Chris Coleman. And so Richard Haig, chair, aye. Dan Moore.
Aye.
Chris Coleman.
Aye.
Linda Maloney, or Clancy.
Aye.
David. Dave.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
And Tiffany Hall.
Aye.
With that, it's passed unanimously. So that'll be our tentative schedule for next year. And with that, I think we move to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Dan.
Chris Coleman, I'll second.
And seconded. I really don't believe we need a vote on that, do we? I can just, the meeting is adjourned.
For a vote.
What's that?
You can call for a verbal.
Just all in favor?
Aye.
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 Yeah. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.